maybe I'll just have a piece of bread. At like 11, I thought about doing that. And then I said, no, have some water. Drink a bunch of water.
And that's what your diet is now, is just a bunch of water.
It is water and powder, mostly, and vegetables.
What about celery? Isn't celery the negative calorie food?
Oh, because it like takes more energy to digest it?
Than it gives you?
Yeah, but who wants to just eat celery?
I would put the peanut butter on the celery, but no
Can't
ants.
put peanut butter on it.
Oh. What can you have?
Ugh, nothing.
Ensure. You should just drink Ensure.
I can have vegetables. I can have like 2 cups of vegetables with lunch, 2 cups with dinner, which is a lot of veg. And then
how many cups are in a can? Because sometimes I just eat cans of peas or cans of lima beans.
I don't know, ounces. So I'm not sure.
Straight out of the can. I don't even heat them up.
I would say there's probably, well, what's it say on the thing? Like 12 ounces or something, or maybe 8 in a can. What's the number at the bottom?
I don't know. 12, I would guess. I have no clue.
Yeah. I feel like it's a teen.
Even hobos have it better than I do. They at least heat their cans up over a flame.
They probably eat more often in a day than you do, too.
I would just, I should
Have
take
you
off.
eaten today?
I had a payday bar.
It's not.
That's a great one. That's like, if you're going to eat a candy bar, it's mostly peanuts.
Yeah, peanut. Okay.
Peanuts are good. And because I had that pasta last night that I ordered, that came blanketed in cheese. Spaghetti and meatballs. You order this and it comes with a blanket of...
Does it say that it has that?
No.
Wow.
It was a surprise the first time I ordered that from this place. I was like, I just want some spaghetti and meatballs. And you know what you're getting. You know what kind of spaghetti and meatballs you're getting. It's not going to be the best, but it just serves the purpose. It's like, okay, this exists and it's fine. And then it showed up with all that cheese on it. And I was shocked.
I'm having a visceral response to thinking about the picture you sent me. And it's like I'm in a cartoon, you know, when the person turns into a chicken leg and they're on a deserted island.
You should post that
like,
picture.
Your face is turning into just a cheese covered meatball.
Man, it's delicious.
Pasta.
You should post this picture so everyone can see it. Anyway, I was saying for you, well, one, I ate half of that last night, and that's enough calories to last someone for a week, I'm sure.
No.
Yes.
No.
And you should
have eaten it this morning.
I'll eat some more this morning. This afternoon by this point. And then you should just be drinking Ensures. Those things are, well, only the vanilla ones are good. You ever try a...
Really? The other ones aren't good?
No, I got a strawberry Ensure once, and it tastes absolutely horrible.
Yeah, the vanilla powder that I have is not very good. Don't like it.
What do you put it in?
Water.
Put it in some milk.
I can't.
Skim milk.
No milk. I think, no. Mm-mm. I don't know what I can have. I can't have a lot of dairy. I think that there's some like milk powder or something in some of the products, because like when you make the hot chocolate, again, just another powder, and you put it in water, it tastes really good. It's surprising how like creamy it is. So I think there must be like a milk substance in there somewhere.
Yeah, the powdered milk.
I guess so.
Which was a superhero.
But yeah, it's very controlled.
I made a superhero in 7th grade. We had to come up with superheroes in our Target class. And mine was Powdered Milkman.
Oh, you were in Target. We called that Focus.
Well, I was smart.
Yeah, I was too, okay? But they didn't test me on my street smarts. Tested me on book smarts.
Here's how smart I was.
Failed.
Here's how smart I was. Powdered Milkman was my superhero. And the teacher, oh, this is so amazing. This is so creative. It was just a ripoff of Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy.
Oh.
But she didn't know.
That teacher's listening right now, and she's so disappointed.
She had no clue. Oh, you're so brilliant, Greg. Yeah, just I'm a thief.
Ugh, I did that once. I copied a poem, I think about like Christmas or something, from a Calvin and Hobbes book. And I gave it to my mom like it was mine, and she was so impressed. And then she ended up including it in our Christmas cards, which I didn't realize until later when my cousins were like, "Did you write this, Autumn?" I was like, "Yeah," because I was in front of my mom, and they were like, "It's weird because it doesn't really sound like." I was like, "Yeah, I don't know."
That's why you got to change it up a bit. If you're gonna steal something,
but I wasn't thinking that my mom would then distribute it. And I get totally busted. But my cousins who loved Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Ugh, I hate that. Ugh,
unfortunate
back
series.
now. That's like a scald yourself moment.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it is. That registers maybe a top scald yourself moment.
Yeah. Ugh.
You just stole something and it ran wild on you, and you were caught.
Mm-hmm. I didn't admit it. I was caught in that very kind way where the person's not going to out you in front of everybody.
They should have.
They know.
They should have taken you down, taught you a lesson.
I should text them now. Do you remember that? They're probably like, no.
Oh, I'm sure that they remember that. That's not something people forget.
What a liar I am. I just wanted to be able to write poetry like that. And I couldn't. I mean, I was doing weird poetry things like taking lines from Interview with a Vampire and trying to make them into poems, like words in that Bjork album that I liked so much with "You're Oh So Quiet" in the beginning. Oh God, it's so horrible.
Sorry, I'm trying to look up. I forget which song in The Squid and the Whale. Something like this happens, where
oh really?
Where Jesse, what's his name? Jesse Eisenberg,
Mm-hmm.
the character he's playing, who's in high school. Steals a song and presents it as his own, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Like his parents think it's the best, and then he plays it at a talent show or something, and gets called out.
Oh God!
I think it was a Pink Floyd song, but I can't remember which one. Oh well, doesn't matter.
So you think you can tell?
It doesn't matter which song. Same thing happened. So
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of kids do this anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't.
They just want their parents' love. And look how creative. That's what's happening in this movie. The parents are getting a divorce, and he's just trying to find a way to relate to his dad, who's this snooty piece of shit. And he presents this song, and then that's what you just wanted your mom's love by showing her how talented and creative you were.
I wanted...
Because your mom values that. The end of the discussion. I know better.
Okay. You're right.
This is just a theme. I do this before every show. I like telling you. If you go back and listen, this is a trend. Yeah. It's just a running joke for me at this point.
Okay.
What you can tell me the truth.
I think that I struggled with, for one, my mom used to always call me say that I was very creative. And then in a weird way that put a lot of pressure on me to be creative. And so then when I wasn't creative, I felt like I was doing something wrong, and also, that sounds horrible to like blame my mom for that. I'm not blaming. She didn't do anything wrong. It was just my reaction to it, I guess, in some way. And then also, I wanted to be something that I wasn't, we've talked about like the ideal sort of image or something. I wanted to be something that I wasn't, which was like this deep, talented, creative person. And it's not to say that I'm not those things, but I did not have the ability at like 8 or 12 or however old I was to like tap into that.
Yeah, it just took you 37 years.
I have to come up with something cool and interesting and creative. But so I just stole a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it took you 37 years to get to the point where you were deeper than 2 feet.
Yeah, that's true.
What a nice person.
You?
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ, and I don't know whose week it is. It's my week, but last week I feel like I gave you the topic, and then you presented it as your own topic. And because of that, look, here's the thing with coming up with topics. It actually becomes difficult. And when it's your week, there's more stress. Like when it's my week to come up, meaning when it's your week, not yours, mine. You understand what I'm saying? When it's my week, It's actually a little more difficult to come up with a topic. There's stress that's tied to it, and I have anxiety leading up to record time. And
Yeah.
so I passed it off to you under that premise that, last week was really my topic, and I gave it to you, so this week is now your week again, so you need to come up with a topic. And, man, you really picked a doozy, a double doozy from you ever have one of those from the Great American Cookie Co., or whatever the hell it was called?
Is that the one that has the frosting in the middle?
Yeah, I never had one.
Oh,
You loved
real
them.
good.
What was it? Was that Great American Cookie? That was it, right?
Yeah, at the mall.
Yeah, surprisingly, this is not the topic, but surprisingly, I think I've had like 2 of those in my life. As much as I like sweets and cookies and the double doozy right up my alley, 2 cookies with that very special frosting in the middle.
Yeah, because it's not like cake frosting. It feels like something else.
It's delicious is what it is.
Yeah.
Because I had their cookie cakes because people had those at their birthday parties.
Oh my God, those cookie cakes are so good,
And
soft and amazing.
Yeah, and it's the same frosting that's on those. The white frosting, not the chocolate writing. But
You've really ruined me by talking about all this food that I can't eat.
Oh yeah, our whole pre-show for anyone who doesn't know is Autumn is on a diet because she's no, you're being paid for an endorsement. Give them a plug on our podcast. I'll sell
Sure,
out.
Soda Weight Loss System. Go to soda.com. Find the Soda Nationwide tab. Click on, just do it.
Oh great. So you can't even take this seriously. If you hear
Because
this,
I didn't remember, because I started messing up the website and then I was afraid that all right, so go to sodaweightloss.com and click the Soda Nationwide tab or something and join because it really has, I started at 155 and now I'm at 144.
yeah, that's great. It's some great weight loss there. I'll say it with you. 3, 2,
State of the art.
1.
Oh.
3, 2,
Well,
1.
you can't because we're still on a delay.
3, 2, 1. State of the art. I said it with you. But
Anyway, what's our topic?
Well, I wanted to wrap this up. Surprisingly, I just never really ate many of those cookies, and I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the price. Were they expensive? I don't even know what they cost.
Did you eat at the mall typically if your parents took you there, if you went there?
Yeah, Taco Bell.
Oh,
Or Chick-fil-A at the Town Center Mall.
What? You are so basic.
And
I was always the Asian food place.
When I started working in the mall, I would eat the Sarku Japan.
Yeah.
That was nice. The teriyaki chicken.
Oh, teriyaki.
What did you get? The orange breaded monstrosity chicken? Oh, there's a little morsel
No, I
of
got
chicken.
General Tso. General Tso.
Fine. So be it.
See, I'm better than
I'm not
you.
going to argue the merits of the Sarku Japan. But yes, I would eat at the mall. I just didn't like the stands, I don't think. The Great American Cookie Company was always a stand. And I always felt like there's the real stores in the mall when the malls existed. I don't know what they're like anymore. And then there was
Just jungles now.
Yeah, and then there were the stands. And the stands always felt like con artistry to me. It was like,
Oh, yeah, with the people like, pretty lady, come here. You need lotion for your hands.
yes.
No, thanks. And then you would walk by them 5 minutes later because you realize you're going towards the Macy's and not the Sears. You turn around and like, pretty lady, come here. You need lotion for you. And like, we just had this exchange.
Yes, after that offensive portrayal of someone's accent.
Well, so many people are
we-
like Persian that are in those middle carts. They're either Asian or Persian.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm not
Say
I'm
it
not
with
saying
me.
that they're bad for their
State of the
being
art.
I'm just saying, state of the art. Okay. What's our topic? You
All right. Well, it's a doozy, is what I was saying. It was quite the
a
doozy.
double doozy?
Yeah,
Like those
double.
cookies at that place at the mall?
Yeah, did you ever eat at that place? I never did, surprisingly.
Yeah.
And the Haagen-Dazs was also just a stand. I was like, get out of here.
Oh, never got Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah,
I got Dippin' Dots from that weird machine every once in a while. It was in the Gwinnett Place Mall. It was outside of the Hot Topic.
Yeah, the Dippin' Dots, the thing with them was it's been in here for 6 years. It doesn't matter because it's so frozen. It's flash
Frozen in time.
Yeah, this can exist for eternity.
Yeah.
Eat the Dippin' Dots, whereas most ice cream gets freezer burn or it
Sure.
ices over. Anyway, this is not our topic. Our topic, let me tell you, it's quite a doozy. It's maybe even a double doozy. I think this is going to beat Breasts as the #1 downloaded show.
Yeah.
That's my forecast.
Get to it.
Well, it's your topic.
Oh, it is? I thought we were saying it was your topic and I gave it to you.
No, I was just I was saying that it's your topic. You're presenting it.
Oh, our topic today is masturbating.
What?
Whoa! I'm going to send you a video of how I masturbate.
That's all. That's the description for this show. And listen to this whole episode.
Yep.
And get a free video of Autumn describing how she masturbates. And yeah, we're going to have millions.
If you don't make it through the whole podcast, then Greg will send you a video of himself masturbating. So pick your poison.
It'll be quick because that's the whole point of it. It's like, yeah, just get it over with. I think getting into this episode, I was even stalling. And I don't really, in theory on paper, feel shame talking about masturbation. But there's still this stigma attached to it. And I think of people that I know who will listen to this show. And so
it's personal. It's not stigmatized. It's just personal.
But why? Why is it set up that way? There's still a bit of shame. This should be, and we've talked about food so much already on this show, but it should be as simple as a conversation about what we eat. It's something that most people do, except for ones that are so grossly strict, it's misplaced that they avoid it even though they want to do it. I'm sure that there's a drive.
I think that it's a little different because you don't orgasm at the end of eating. So it's not
some people do.
Orgasming and being that vulnerable and talking about what gets you to that place is something I don't think it's about shame. I think that it can be about shame, but I think our little bit of trepidation talking about it and thinking about other people hearing it's just because it's highly personal.
This is true. And I don't want it to be about shame. I think that a lot of people still attribute that feeling to it, though. But going back to one thing you said, that people don't orgasm. You ever see someone who's eating a double doozy? That look on their face, their eyes roll back in their head, and yes, they make all the grunting noises.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, eating and sex and fighting are all. So I think that they all start in like your reptilian brain, which is like the most basic thing in your brain, and that's why, like, when you get drunk, like really drunk, you want to fight, you want to fuck, or you want to eat. It's because like all the complicated, more interesting layers of your brain have shut down, and it's just like get your basic needs met, And so that makes sense that like food and maybe sex noises would be the same.
See, that's a point of shame for me when my brain shuts down, my brilliant brain that navigates this world so well because I've got it all figured out. When it just resorts back to the most basic of needs, then I really do. I'm just embarrassed and I want to hide. But getting to the topic, masturbation, jerking it, that's only for men.
Squeezing one off.
I like when
rubbing one out.
I like when jerking it is applied to women, though.
Yeah.
Do
you jerk off, lady?
It amuses me. But I think.
Do you also like it when women say, like, suck my dick?
Sure. Sure. Why not? I would probably laugh. Mm-hmm. It would be amusing, and then maybe take, the moment and kill it because I'd be giggling.
Right.
It's like, okay, sure. What a strange thing to say. Getting back to the topic, though. I think, hitting on the point of shame, or are you just talking about it being highly personalized, though? But you're a parent. I'm not a parent. Your kids aren't old enough yet. I mean, I guess they're probably still touching themselves in ways, but it doesn't mean anything. They're more so
it's not directed in any way.
Yeah, they're just exploring at this point. But I think from the get-go, parents don't want to deal with it, or maybe they don't know how to deal with it. I would have no clue how to deal with it when talking to your kid about it. Obviously, you don't want to bring it up out of nowhere, but you're going to know when it's happening, especially with Pete, your boy. That's not going to be a secret. And I think a lot of parents probably are like, and then they just say, don't do that. And then this is where these stupid myths come into play, which I know a lot of them are also tied to religion for whatever reasons. I'm not well-versed enough to really want to get into that. But, the things like, oh, you're going to, what is it? Grow the hair.
Hairy palms.
Yeah, hair on your palms.
Makes you go blind.
It's like so scare tactics are implemented just to get a kid to stop. But I don't know. Have you thought about this at all? about
Yeah, I have.
what you're going to do
About like
and
what
say.
I would say to either of them. I think it would if it's something that they're doing privately, you know, uh and being discreet about it, then I don't think I would say anything, but it might sort of get me to start thinking about having a conversation with them about maybe what they may find online, you know, and how and who knows in the, you know, by the time they're masturbating for real, like uh what sort of technology is at their fingertips. But if it stands like it does now, then I would try and explain to them about, you know, what they see online is not typically what you will encounter in the real world.
So you would use it as a launching point to talk about like online porn and stuff, and that gets into
Yes.
sex. But you know, strictly as far as masturbation goes, like as a kid myself, it's like no one ever, I guess, talked to me about it, and there was a feeling of shame tied to it. Like the first time,
Yeah,
it happened, which it's I'd say it's an accident. It's not really an accident because there's obviously stimulation happening, but it's like
yeah, but you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're just doing it because it feels good.
And then it happens, and and it threw me for a fucking loop.
Yeah.
I had no clue. It was scary, and
Did stuff come out the first time?
yeah. I know that some people start early enough where there's nothing
Yeah.
coming out, but I was advanced enough by the time I actually got fully there, and so and the thing is, like my parents did talk to us about sex, where babies come from. There were never lies. It's like, here's how it happens. And I was allowed to take the sex ed in school, but for some reason, I never really put any of that together. And
It seems like what you're taught in school is information, but I don't think you have the brain capacity to then apply it to yourself.
yeah, it just doesn't connect either, because
Yeah.
it's like, well, if I did that, why? It doesn't make sense to think that nothing would happen if you did it alone. But I also didn't really know what I was doing at that point. Just like, I don't know. This is the Spice Channel, and there's squiggly lines, and there's a boob, I think, and just hearing the noises, and I'm really getting into this. And it's like, what happened? And then I go upstairs to my room, and I have to pass my sister's room, and my mom's in there with my sisters. What's going on? I say, nothing, and I slam the door. And I think about it all night, and that's awful in my mind. That's awful if that's what's going to happen again. I don't want to ever do that again. But honestly, like a day later, you're thinking, yeah, but it did feel good. And then you start having to figure out ways to get it done. And as a boy, it's a little more difficult because there's a mess.
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't understand why your mom and your sister were still awake. And where were you? Just down in the living room?
Yeah, I was in the living room. It was far enough removed, I guess.
Oh, so
What?
rich.
It was just rubbing. It
So
wasn't
wealthy.
I wasn't like.
Well, they were in the west wing of the house and the living room is in the east. So
Well, it wasn't like pants were down. It was just kind of.
Oh.
I was just rubbing.
Oh, like pinching kind of?
No,
I
there's
feel
no
like
pinch.
that's what
There's no
guys do.
pinching.
You know how like guys will sometimes like pinch the end and then
No, that's not
Oh.
what was happening.
Oh, okay.
Pinching. How dare
Well,
you?
not pinching like hard, but like big pinching, you know, like moving it in and out of your like leftover
don't-
foreskin.
Okay, see, I don't want to talk about it now. This rush of shame. I'm setting it up, so it's something you have to figure it out. And it's like, well, what am I going to do? And you know, for whatever reason, going to the bathroom, it's like, this is not necessarily the most comfortable way. I want to be in a more comfortable spot. And then you have to come up with ways, and socks is a common thing. But then
yeah.
you have laundry to do, and you can't have your parents do the laundry, so you have to hide them, and then you do the laundry in the middle of the night, and you think, I'm getting away with this, and then your parents ask you, what are you washing in the middle of the night? Why are you doing that? And you, look, they know. They knew. They know. They didn't say anything. I feel as though if they had said something, that in itself would have been embarrassing, but maybe it would have made me feel better for whatever reason. Shame did set in. It's like, I shouldn't be doing this. And it's like, I don't know why that's the built-in response. Where does that come from? And maybe just me.
Yeah.
Maybe I was the one feeling that.
Well, I mean, it is something that you would hide from your. I mean, maybe it is because it is a vulnerable and sexual position that you've put yourself in, and you don't want to share that or talk about that with your parents. And so you want to hide that from them, because to talk about your own sexuality with your parents at that age would be ridiculous.
It'd be
and
horrifying. Yes.
Yes.
And it's all
So
confusing. The whole time is confusing.
I think what I would do if I knew if I like definitely knew my kids were doing something like that, I think that I would just let them know that I'm aware, and if they want to ask me any questions, they can.
Yeah, I guess that's the
And that
best
it's
way.
normal, and to just let them know, like, I see this. It's totally normal what you're doing. If you have any questions, I'm here. And then if they have questions, I'll answer them honestly,
That's probably the best way to do it, right?
Totally.
I don't know
because
any
I
other
said
way.
that.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
You don't want to overstep the bounds and just force. And what do you say? It's not like with masturbation, you have to say, there's a safe way to do it. It's like you just are doing it. Sex is a totally
doing
different
it.
thing. With sex,
Yeah.
I think you need to get more into the details and actually have conversations that maybe are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it would kick me off into thinking, like, eventually, if they're not doing it already, they're going to find online pornography, and it's going to be intense what they see. They're going to stumble across things they're probably not ready for or don't understand. And so I don't want that to set them up for what they expect a sexual experience to be like. Because so much of porn is about, like, getting one over on a woman,
Yeah, and so many people get into that. Like, yeah, kick her out of the van. And you told her
Yeah.
you'd pay her and you didn't.
Yeah, she's an idiot runaway.
There was the idea, what's his name? Freud. Yes.
Sigmund?
Yeah, that masturbation was like a primary addiction, meaning that it's the first of addictions, and all addictions shadow it. It's like it's shadowing the desire for self-stimulation, which I don't know. I don't like putting masturbation in the box of addiction. It can become a compulsive behavior, but it's also
Sure.
built in naturally. It's a drive to procreate.
I mean, monkeys and apes do it.
Yeah.
It's not.
But I think that approach to it maybe also is one of the
Dogs.
reasons it's set up that way. It's like,
Yeah.
sure, maybe it can. You're getting, something, a dopamine burst in your brain, and it could lead
Yeah.
to this idea that you like just finding pleasure in any way possible. But I don't know, when it's an actual drive that's built in to your brain. I don't know if it's so fair to be like, this is the primary addiction, because that demonizes it from the get-go.
Yeah. No, Freud had some interesting things to say about things, but there's a lot of stuff that is, I don't know, a little bit what I feel like is based in too much shame, about, like, men want to have, boys want to have sex with their mothers, and mothers want to have sex with their sons, and your penis, a hot dog is a penis, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Well, the truth is people
relaxed, Freud.
do think of dicks when they look at anything that's shaped. That is kind of built in.
Yeah, but not every hot dog is a dick.
I agree with you, but even the cover of The Little
And
Mermaid.
me wanting a hot
there
dog
was-
doesn't represent me wanting to, like, kill a man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, he said some cool things about, like, the id and the ego, and that's great.
It's a
but
stretch,
There's just a
yes.
lot. Yeah, it's just strange stuff.
There's a stretch. What? You're eating a hot dog? You hate men.
Yeah, like, wait, a banana? Can I eat that? No.
I mean, while we're on the topic of food, I did in that book that I let you borrow that you never read.
Yeah.
The what was the Bill Bryson book? Made in America, about American
Yeah.
language, but it does get into brands for whatever reason. And Kellogg's Corn Flakes was one of the things, and Corn Flakes was actually designed to be bland on purpose, because the idea from Kellogg was that this bland food would curb the desire to masturbate.
Oh, yeah, because he was a Mormon or something, right?
He may have been.
I think so, because he was really into
He just wasn't. I don't know if he was a
like
Mormon.
not eating meat, like cutting out all this food, and like
He just was.
Yeah,
he was very uncomfortable with sex in general, and
Yeah.
he was like a loud voice against masturbation, and he thought sex overall was like detrimental to people, physically, emotionally, spiritually, And he himself, I think, didn't have any sort of sex. But somehow, because he was a doctor, he ran this asylum and he lured people in and he ran these experiments on them. And one of those experiments was Kellogg's cornflakes, which then turned into this widespread breakfast cereal that everyone eats.
I think I saw the drunk history about the Kellogg brothers.
I haven't seen that, but if you read that book,
you should read the book.
How many pages of that book have you read, and when did you borrow it?
I don't know.
You got it 8 months ago, and maybe you're at eight pages, one page.
No, more than 8 pages. Maybe a cool 50. Anyway,
Kellogg. This is a brand that we all eat, rooted in the history. It's like, here's a health treat. I think that like one of the first things was like,
it's not even made of corn. It's made of corn flour, I guess, but it's flour, right?
Cornflakes. I don't know the process of cornflakes.
Yeah, like Eric from the Von Hessler Doctrine. He'll say, like, if you want cornflakes for breakfast and you want corn, then just eat corn for breakfast. And I always want to say, it's not the same. It's like flour. It's corn meal or something. It's not corn.
I do like the idea of on the box cornflakes advertising. It's like healthy, ready to eat, anti-masturbatory.
Yeah, that rooster. I'm not supposed to think of dicks when I see a cock on the front of the box and an ear of corn that looks like a protruding penis.
That's what you do as a parent. You start feeding your kids nothing but cornflakes.
Yeah, it's such masturbate.
It's such a boring breakfast cereal that it does actually bore them to death. It bores them into a comatose state.
Well, if they're dead, then they can't masturbate. So.
Comatose state where they don't want to do anything. Why do people like cornflakes? Anyway, this is closely
Nobody
tied
really likes cornflakes.
It's a top seller.
It's the same with Rice Krispies. I remember asking for Rice Krispies just based on the commercial, and they like...
Yeah, when your selling
point... And then when
point,
I got them, I was like, oh, the fuck is this bullshit?
When your selling point is our cereal makes sound.
Snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies.
When it's not, it tastes good. When the selling point is, hey, it makes a sound. Buy it so you can hear this sound.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun for a second before I eat it, and then I'm so disappointed.
People fall for it.
Yeah.
But I feel as though, as a whole, we are moving away from this shame and just sex in general. This idea that sex, it really sets people up poorly. It's like you get all of these hang-ups when it comes to sex and masturbating, and it's based on these idiots who somehow gain some power or notoriety and put forth their dumb ideas that have persisted for so long, and that they're finally just being challenged. It took this long.
Well, it makes sense in some ways because of the true danger of sex that sex can be, especially before the maternal mortality rate is as low as it is. Like before, it really was pretty dangerous to get pregnant. So wanting to have sex could lead you to pregnancy, which could lead you to death.
That's nice of you to think, but all these programs,
I'm not saying that's why Kellogg didn't want people to have sex. I'm saying that's where maybe some of the seeds come from, where it's like, and then we're going to start mixing it into our religion, and then it's going to be something, I don't know how to talk about this, so I'm going to make it evil, and I'm going to make it so your hair get hairy palms.
Well, the danger is there, as you're saying, with women and giving birth, but look, all this was set forth by men, and men didn't want their women to have had sex with anyone else before they got married and they were able to claim them as their own. It's this archaic form of ownership and control, and that's I think where a lot of this came into play. Did they really care about if you get pregnant you may die, it's so dangerous? No, don't do it because you need to be pure for me. And
then they were also being required, there was a requirement for them to also be pure.
I guess again that's getting into some religion, which I don't really care to go down that path a little too much. And then when people start to question it, like you said, then they're like, and then facts start to come out that it's not dangerous in this way, or it's not so bad. And that's when the stupid things come into play, where it's like, you masturbate and you're going to go blind, or you're going to get epilepsy and your memory's going to fail, or you'll get tuberculosis. Okay. Now we're just at fear tactics. But I guess maybe that's the last step before the breakthrough. And you're like, okay, none of this is real. Mm-hmm. And then you get people like yourself who started very young, never had any qualms about it.
Yes, sex for me was and masturbation. I mean, I also, hid it from my parents. I don't know how well, but I did some, comforter humping as a kid and like make out with my pillow. Weird things like that. And lots of like sexiness that I would take my like pajama shirt and I'd stretch out the neck and put it over my shoulders. Like ooh. Like weird female versions of, tiny human version of sexy.
Who was the pillow a stand-in for when you're making out with
not
the
a
pillow?
I don't know, just anyone. For women,
it was Melody from Hey Dude for me.
Oh, it was?
When I made out with the pillow, it was Melody from Hey Dude.
She was the lifeguard, and what's her name?
Was she a lifeguard on that show? I don't remember.
I think so.
I don't know if
she was a lifeguard.
Was there a lifeguard on that show? But she's Ben Stiller as well. Are they still married?
I don't know. I think they are.
Anyway, that's who it was. Ben Stiller's wife or ex-wife. What's her name? Christine? Christine something?
Yeah, Christine something. So, yeah, the first time that I actually orgasmed, I also was kind of afraid. I'm sorry. I'll let you search this.
No, I'm listening.
Nah.
Christine Taylor. That's all. I can listen.
Christine Taylor.
Don't be an Eric. You're not listening to me. I'm listening. I was able to listen. Okay. The first time, it scared you. Well,
yeah, it did. I was doing some humping and it was happening. I was like, ah! And I stopped and I like sat on the edge of the bed and it felt like I was going to fall off a cliff, And so I was like, I'm going to try that again. Like, just keep going. And then it happened again. I was like, oh, and I stopped myself. And then I was like, I'm just going to go for it this time. Just see what happens. What am I going to die? And then I, that was my first orgasm. I was like, whoa, what was that?
And then it carried on from there. Weren't you pretty young?
Yeah. I don't know how old I was, but I was in elementary school for sure. I'm trying to think about my life.
I mean, it's fine. We don't need to put an exact date on it.
No, I don't mean that. I'm just trying to think. And then for the rest of my sexual career.
Yeah, let's just move into when you're legal age so the dudes who are listening to this will start to get what they want.
Okay, good.
Once I was of age. No, sorry, go ahead. Tell your full arc.
My first boyfriend that I had sex with, I didn't really know how to orgasm with him until I was faking it for a long time with him. And then I was like, oh, I should just do what I do on my own, but with him. And then I started having like orgasms and sex, and that was fun. And
the faking it, by the way.
Ugh, faking it is so dumb.
Did he not know?
Nah.
I guess when
you're
young, you have no idea anyway. But what a ridiculous notion. I would prefer it to be, no, sorry, I couldn't get off then. Oh yeah, I was faking. I was like, what? But maybe egos are that fragile with some dudes where faking it's the better choice because they pout if you're like, you can't, it didn't work. It's okay.
Well, that was
a man. Freud says that you want to bite my dick off.
I saw you with those cornflakes.
I
don't know. I don't know why. I mean, I guess I did it because I'm unable to ask for what I need. So, especially when I'm,
when you're young, you don't know how to ask for anything anyway.
Yeah.
Even if you knew what you wanted to ask for, it's hard to. But I don't even know if you know what you want to ask for.
Yeah.
at that
So
point.
I was able, and it's funny. So I listened to Loveline, old episodes of Loveline, and so many people will, like, women will call in and say, like, yes, they can masturbate, and yes, they orgasm on their own, but they always say it like this: my boyfriend can't give me an orgasm, and I hate that language. Like, he can't give it to you. Like, it's not his to give; it's your orgasm.
You take it.
Take it. Get your orgasm, girl.
I can't take my orgasm with my boyfriend.
And it's also, there's the whole, I mean, that's a whole nother thing about, like, I lost my virginity. He took my virginity. I know that, those are semantics and some people don't believe in that, but I think it does have an effect on how women are seen and see themselves. My virginity is something to be taken. He took it. He gives me an orgasm. Fuck that.
I agree with you on that. It
Yeah.
sets up a standard, and I'm not trying to say it's worse for men, but not all guys, even if you're not a guy who views it that way and you want sex to be mutual, where both people are actually
Right.
enjoying it and you want to share that experience, there is some pressure that falls on you. It's like, I'm supposed to give her that, and if you don't, I
Right.
think that's why maybe you're faking it, because some guys do feel as though they failed. But the whole system, that aside, is set up that it trains a lot of people to think. It's like, yeah, the woman is the passive one in this. Has a little bit of say, but yeah, I'm taking it from you. It would be your virginity to give. Like, I'm
Right.
giving this to you.
And I was going to say about the callers on Loveline, they'll say that they can orgasm on their own, they masturbate, fine, but they can't have the orgasm with their boyfriend. And it's like, well, have you tried, like, touching yourself while you're having sex the
What?
way that you do when you have the orgasm on your own? And they're like, oh no, I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I want him to give it to me. It's like, what are you talking about? And I never had that sort of, I'm not saying that you're crazy for thinking that. It's just interesting. I think that that never occurred to me to be like, it's occurring to people to be ashamed to touch themselves during sex, and that was never,
You touch
that never
everything
occurred to me.
else. Yeah.
Huh?
You're touching everything else.
Yes. And you're naked and vulnerable. It's just interesting that it's like, oh no, I wouldn't do that in front of somebody else.
I think that still plays into the dynamics and the way they're set up. It's like, if I do that, and then the guy's going to feel, women even do think that, I don't know, it doesn't count. It's cheating.
Yeah.
I would assume it's still
like, oh, well, that's not an orgasm through sex.
I would assume that it still
that's masturbating with
feels different, even if you're masturbating and you're having sex and you're connected with a person. There's still, probably something different about it than if you're just doing it alone.
Sure.
So this idea that it doesn't count, or if from a dude's perspective you're failing, shut up.
Yeah. Oh, she had to touch herself instead of me giving it to her.
I'm so ashamed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to, without, the whole thing is, it's this setup. You can't live without me. You need me for all those things. All the
Right.
good things, you need me. That's why I'm here. And then you set the woman up. I'm the only one who can give it to you. She doesn't look elsewhere. She doesn't stray. She doesn't feel as though she can be independent.
Right.
Like, I need that guy. That guy
He
really
gives me orgasm.
gives it to me.
So yeah, I don't know how. I think just having a healthy conversation with, I guess, a kid who may be going through that, can sort of set them up for, not feeling like they're doing something wrong. And that's what I was saying about, like, a jumping off point for eventually talking about porn, because when you see porn, it really is the epitome of, like, taking something from someone, like taking something from a woman. And there are specific porn sites, and it's always like for women, which is so stupid, but it's for women, and it's like a man actually cares about the woman's pleasure, and isn't just there and to, like, get what they want from her, unless it's like that's what she's into. Do you know what I mean? And it's still all about her pleasure, and it's not like it's not about a man's pleasure, but a man's pleasure comes from a different place. Like men's orgasms and penis functions can happen with like when they're what's it called when you can't move parts of your body and you're in a wheelchair and you're
paralyzed?
Yes, when you're paralyzed, because your penis and your orgasm function doesn't come from the same parts of your brain that a woman's does. If a woman was paralyzed, she can't orgasm.
The fact that it is marketed towards women is the fact that there's someone out there thinking men aren't into this. Let's push this towards women. Two people actually into each other.
Yeah.
And making sure the other person feels good and connecting in a way during sex that can help make it better. It's like, dudes don't want that. And that's a problem.
Well, I think the site that I'm thinking of is run by women.
Oh, it's still...
So I think it's more of like a safe haven for women to go to.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. But still, there is this idea that that's not something... I would prefer to see that than a lot of these videos. And even the way these end quite often is the dude masturbating. It's like at that point, it's not even getting anything from the woman. It's just using her as a prop.
Yeah. They're on their knees
to finish it.
Tongues out. You're like, ew.
Because, yeah, masturbation is control. You're controlling your own orgasm at that point, and then, like, you're controlling her through it. I mean, I know we're talking about porn now, but the way it does even play into that. I think the whole system's fucked, quite frankly. I don't know why people can't just talk about these things openly. And then again, I do think that there are more people talking about it openly, and hopefully that tide is changing. But there's a whole group of people just all fucked up in the brain.
Well, I think that it does sort of just like pot or cannabis and stuff. It kind of swings too far the other way too. Like where weed is supposed to like cure everything and it's not bad for you and there are no negative side effects, and I think that it can cure some things, it can help with things, but it doesn't mean that it's not, it doesn't have the potential to be dangerous. It doesn't have the potential to harm you. It's the same thing with like all this sex positivity. I think it kind of swings too far in the other direction, saying like, yeah, sex work, no problem. Those are just women who like to have sex and they're doing it for money. It's like, okay, I'm sure there are a portion of people who do have that, but a lot of it is someone trying to remaster some trauma. And, it's not like in its purest form of like sex work is just totally fine.
Yeah, but at that point, it's not your place to say what they're trying to master, what they're working through. I do think that sex work, the problem with it is quite often women are forced into it and they've got the pimps, and as long as it remains illegal, you're going to have this structure. If it is legal and it's safer and women choose to do it, some of these things you're referencing may still exist in the person who chooses to do that for a job, but I don't know. It's not your place. At least you can make it safer for them.
I'm fine with that.
With
I'm
marijuana,
fine with the idea of making it safer, but also the talking about the realities of why someone chooses that work, I think are valid to talk about. It doesn't negate everything, or it doesn't mean that they don't deserve support. What are you going to say about weed?
Well, that I think at this point is strictly marketing. It's kind of the same thing with Kellogg's and the way they position that. It's like once it's legal, then you're going to start attaching all these positive benefits to it so you can start selling more of it.
Right.
I know that there's some people who buy into, and I'm sure that there are some benefits to smoking, but there's also plenty of negatives. You're still smoking a substance.
Right.
And I know a lot of people at this point vape, and there's different ways to do it, but it also does alter your being, and if you're doing that constantly, that's not a good thing either. But that's strictly marketing. And maybe with sex work right now, I think it's just a push to swing the pendulum the other way, because it's been demonized, and now you're making a push to cut some of that out, and the actual issues and topics that fall into it or somewhere in between the two. Like if you want to talk about it realistically, and make it as safe as possible and get it so it's not as stigmatized, then there's probably different conversations to have. So I understand what you're saying, that there's people who push, but I think they're different motives at this point. One's just some dude in Colorado who wants to make a lot of money, dude.
Yeah.
Pothead. Which, I don't care. If they want to choose to smoke their pot all the time, they can.
I'd like to try an edible.
Be careful. That's all.
Yeah, I know they're really intense.
They just are slow to act.
Yeah, maybe I'll microdose myself.
And give
I'll
yourself...
just lick an edible and see what happens.
Give yourself 2 hours. They're slow to kick in, and that's when people get into trouble. Because then, like, it's not working.
Happening, so
Next thing you know, 4 hours later, you're gone and you're stuck that way for at least 8 hours.
It really is like Alice in Wonderland, where she got too big by eating that mushroom, and then she got too small, so she just like licked it, and then she got back to her normal size.
Okay, give it a go.
All right.
That's the way you can try it.
Any more stuff to say?
Well, with masturbation now, I think moving into it, like as it exists as an adult, and once you're there, there's still this idea with a lot of people, if they're in a marriage or a relationship, if the other person's masturbating, it's a problem, which is ridiculous, I think.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we kind of hit on that with just the dynamics of the way it's viewed and what a man's role and a woman's role is. But I guess the guy's allowed to jerk off whenever he wants, right?
Well, a lot of women feel like that's cheating. Like, especially like if men are looking at porn and masturbating.
I think if it's having a negative effect on, there's like anything else.
If they're not having sex with you at all, but then they're still masturbating.
I was going to say it probably doesn't have a negative effect. It's a result of things being wrong in the relationship and not going well, and then maybe the porn consumption ups itself, and you're jerking off a lot, avoiding actually having sex with your partner. But I wonder if like same-sex relationships, how it plays out. Because that dynamic that we're talking about doesn't exist, the man and the woman dynamic. And I wonder how it's different if it's 2 men or 2 women. I would assume probably healthier.
Yeah.
Just because there's an understanding. It's like, all right, we're both men or we're both women. We both understand this. And there isn't that structure in place where the man is supposed to please. Or if it's 2 men, it's both are pleasing. It's an interesting thing. I don't know how to answer it or talk about it.
Yeah, I do have the assumption that it would be like healthier. Like a healthier look at it because, you're both in the same mindset as far as your gender. You
remove a bunch of, those preconditioned neuroses. It's like, okay, that doesn't necessarily exist so much.
Right. The gender roles,
Yeah, and then going back though, avoiding. I don't know. I think that masturbation in relationships is totally fine.
It is. It's something that is the first, sexual experience is typically with yourself. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's sometimes it depends. Like sometimes it is better than having sex.
Well, it's easier, and if there's if you just want to get it done, and if you're having sex in the way I would prefer to have sex, where you care about the other person, no offense, but it takes a little more work. And sometimes I don't want to do that right now. I just want to take care of a deed and get it finished with. And that doesn't, to me, that's not a bad thing.
No,
they represent 2 different sides of the same coin. And then we can get into the whole discussion of toys, which I feel like offends some people. Like, oh, you're using another object that isn't me. See, now I'm falling into this trap that I always get into where I think dudes are just dumb apes and incapable of actually thinking any deeper thoughts, and everything is just, an offense against them. But I'm all for it.
Sometimes it is.
It could be.
Sometimes, I'm sorry, not that it actually is, but sometimes that is the way that people see it.
It could be. It can be a symptom of something, but up front on its own, a woman using a vibrator, great. Do it. Does it help? Does it make it feel better? Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. And, I guess with men and the toys, it is interesting how much further it goes, where you get into the sex doll. There's a bunch of psychology there. That's a whole other episode, I feel.
Now, a sex doll, I can connect the pieces to. When it's just like a torso, that's when I'm like, what? Like there's no head or arms or legs.
It's just this disembodied.
It's just this disembodied torso.
Yeah, that is much creepier than the full doll. But I think the full doll, some people love it and they take care of the doll and they cherish it and they protect it.
They bring it places.
But I feel as though it's an easy way to like, I can do whatever I want. And it's probably not fair. The fact that there's a woman's sex toys are relatively limited. I'm sure there's male sex dolls out there, right? But how compared to...
Well, that's the thing. We don't want... Like, our fantasies are not of having sex with a man, necessarily. Our fantasies are, like, you know, a man being strong, you know?
The thing the sex doll can't do, it's just limp, except for its plaster dick.
I mean, even like a vibrator is still me using my head and not my physical body to do something, you know, whereas a man uses their physical body, I feel like, to have sex with a sex doll. But I mean, yeah, women like sexy dream. Like I had a wet dream once, which I guess should just be called I orgasmed in my sleep. Because I was dressed as a man. I wasn't a man, but I was dressed in like a suit, like as a man would dress. And I was at this really fancy place, and there were these female nude statues, but they were real women. And I went up to one and I rubbed my hands down her naked butt, not slow, just like woo, like that. And I had an orgasm in my sleep. Like that's not anything that a man could connect to have an orgasm about. Orgasm, I mean, like thinking about sex for a man is like, you know, Becky that I see, she's the checkout person at the grocery store. Like that is for me, it's more like faceless man, you know, picking me up and taking me somewhere. You know, like that's sexual to me.
Yeah, the fantasies, and obviously men are much more visual, which, you know, why sometimes I think that like without porn, I can't even do it, which there's been plenty of times without porn. It's like you can think about a person. I guess it is usually a person that isn't faceless. But, you know, as far as people sending nudes, like someone that you're with and they send a nude to you, and it's like, as a man, I like that. But you're also at a spot and it's like, I am thinking about this person and there's still a connection there. And anyone who thinks that, you know, masturbation is a lack of connection, it's like, sure, I guess if your partner sent you a nude and you weren't into it and it disgusted you and you wanted nothing to do with it, that's a sign of things being wrong. But it's like, it's like, great, you sent this and now I can think about you and do this because I'm a dude and need some visual stimulation for the most part. And it's a nice thing. Like, I also view that as like a sacred thing in the sense that you send a picture, this is going to be safe. I feel like a lot of dudes end up getting pictures and like then they use it and then they show their friends or they release it online if they break up, like, I'm going to put it out there.
Revenge porn.
Well, it feels like a risk as a woman to send pictures like that. And then guys can't understand if they send a picture of themselves to a woman, why it doesn't turn her on.
Right, because they're doing what they think we want, which is just like a part of my body. And I've said this before, I would much rather have a picture of your forearm, you know, than your penis. I feel like I could get it's not like I would get a lot of pleasure out of a man's forearm, a manly forearm, with like a nice pocket watch on it or something. I'm not saying that I would.
A pocket watch on the.
Yeah, there's something about like.
You mean just a wristwatch, or you want a pocket watch being balanced on the person's forearm?
You know, when I said it, I thought it was wrong, and I didn't go back and fix it.
Okay, sorry.
Wristwatch.
Don't lose your train of thought.
Okay, I'm not saying that I would, you know, just like a man getting a nude of a woman and he could masturbate to that. I wouldn't masturbate to someone's forearm, but I would get more sexual information from a masculine forearm than I would someone's penis. Because your penis is like, if I don't know you or care about you, or even if I do care about you, I don't need to see it. Personally, I don't need to see it. That is not the thing that I'm like fantasizing about.
I think it's
I'm fantasizing about how you have sex with me, or like what you do while we're having sex, not the sex itself.
That's
like
hard.
How you touch a face, or like touch a lip, or like pull a hair. You know, like that's what I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about in and out, in and out, in and out.
That's hard for dudes to understand, I feel.
Right.
Why wouldn't you want to see this? It is representative of all that is sex. This is sex. This picture is only what sex is. So why don't you want to masturbate to it?
And in those pictures, did you ever go on Craigslist for like people seeking people or whatever?
Yeah.
And it was all just filled with dudes' dicks. And they would like push down so hard on their pubis to like get their dick to look bigger.
As big as possible.
Yeah.
Which, look, that's
like digging a hole around your mailbox and talking about how tall your mailbox is.
It's true, but it's also fair in the sense that when you're having sex, it does push. So there is that part that also gives you some more length. But yeah, to have to show it off like that and push down.
And then you can see like their toes in the background. It's disgusting. See, that's something that a man would never notice. If I had like a gross toenail, but my tits were in the picture, no dude cares about those toes. But women, that's the first thing you see. And that's what you send your girlfriend. You're like, look at his toes. Bro.
Well, a dude who's into foot fetish could probably pick that out. So he sees
but you'd be sending him a picture of your toes, not your feet.
We see it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, not your tits.
Well, if they were in the picture, he would. But yes, I understand what you're saying. There could be so much going on in the background, just all booger hanging out of the nose if your face doesn't after the fact. Maybe
I've seen those dick pics on those Craigslist things where it's like, there's just some like sock on the floor. I'm like, dude, really?
Because it's just about the one thing.
That's right.
The disconnect is unbelievable. You can use that to explain everything that you need explained about what most women want from sex, which is not your dick and not just the act of it.
If it's what you want, it's probably not what she wants. Like in your base level.
I would send a picture, though, if someone asked and wanted it, I guess.
Well, then she asked. That's different.
No
but
face.
To have a sexy conversation and then to be sent a dick pic. It's like
unsolicited. Yeah, it's just you missed the mark there and it ruins everything.
It would kill everything, all the sexiness that we just talked about.
And then you would just go.
That's what I want is like I don't feel like a lot of women masturbate with like a dildo. Do you know what I mean?
Just alone. Yeah.
Yeah, alone. No one is like like shoving that in and out. It's something else. Anyway.
It's a tool that can be used.
Right.
At that point, but it's not just the act of the dildo going in and out.
Right. And if it were a man, that is all they need. All they need is that pocket pussy thing or like that fleshlight. Like that's the equivalent.
You still have to clean those.
I know.
There's just always something to clean.
Especially like those torsos. Do you have to like put that under your arm? Like you're carrying a big suitcase and take it into like the shower or like your kitchen sink?
I don't know. I assume there's a cleaning solution that you use. But it's kind of the last.
Maybe so it'll dry.
It's the last thing you want to do, I feel, after. Like, now I've got to clean this up. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. That's why you just masturbate into a sock.
I mean, there's sometimes like after the fact, you forget to close tabs on a computer when you're going through and you got 6 tabs open. You're like, which one's the one that gets it? And then after the fact, you're like, and you just forget and you forget to close them. And then your girlfriend comes over and finds them and you're highly embarrassed. I'm not speaking from experience, so I am, but I was like 22.
I recently forgot to do private browsing or whatever on my phone. And then I opened it later and saw, I was like, and then I had to like delete my like browsing history because I don't even want it to come up in the top, like if I'm just searching like Pinterest, I don't want Pornhub to come up.
Well, it's also, that is a private thing too. And like this is my inner world.
Yeah. You're like, oh, Japanese masseuse.
That kind of ties it back to the beginning.
Get out of here.
It ties it back to the beginning. Even if you are comfortable with it, you don't want other people necessarily seeing what it is you were looking at. So anytime it would pop up, there's a risk of it. There is an embarrassment. Like when I'm talking about my girlfriend found, I'd left the browsers open, and she'd gone to my apartment. I wasn't home yet. And she's like, what is all this? I'm like, oh.
She said that to you?
Yeah. I mean, I think she was maybe still in the mindset that it meant something was wrong. I don't know. But
I would have left it there and not said a word.
Oh, you mean you would have seen it and never said anything?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's,
or I would close the tabs for you and not mention it.
I think it's worth talking about. You wouldn't present it in a shameful way, though. But you joke about it and still be embarrassing.
Yeah, I might not say. If it kept happening, I'd be like, "Yo,
start closing your tabs."
Yeah, close your tabs. What's your tab count? Sniff.
Why are you doing laundry at 2 a.m.?
I don't know. All right, thanks for listening, everybody. Please like and subscribe, and please rate us on iTunes. And support our sponsor, hofandpepper.com. You can get 15% off of some really great hot sauce. It makes a great little stocking stuffer. They have deals right now, so go check them out. You can get 15% off with the code ONETOPIC15. So please do that. It supports us. It supports a local business in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And thank you. Goodbye. Hey, Greg.
Hey, Autumn.
Do you like hot sauce?
You know, I do like hot sauce, but I'm getting pretty bored of my regular Texas Pete or Tabasco. I'm looking for a local sauce without any additives or extracts. A company that uses local peppers so it's as fresh as possible, and a company that really cares about the integrity of the sauce and where their ingredients come from.
Definitely.
And hey, while we're at it, I don't want a sauce with too many ingredients. You know, a lot of other sauces out there, they have all kinds of fillers. So I'd love to find a sauce with, I don't know, let's say no more than 5 ingredients. I mean, it's crazy, but there's gotta be a company out there that hand processes their sauce. You know, bottling and labeling every bottle themselves. I'm probably asking a lot.
Well, you really are, but there is a hot sauce out there who only uses 5 ingredients.
What?
0 fillers, additives, or extracts, and who bottles, labels, and packages everything themselves. It's called Hoff Sauce.
What?
They're a small batch hot sauce company out of Chattanooga, Tennessee that's won Best Louisiana-style sauce in the country. How many times? Not once, not twice, 3 times.
3 times!
How does that sound, Greg?
I think that sounds amazing.
You know how you can get your own bottle of hot sauce?
No, tell me please now.
Hofandpepper.com. And not only am I giving you the gift of the best hot sauce that you'll ever taste, I'm going to give you 15% off if you use the code ONETOPIC15.
Hold on, that's...
Yes, get a pen and paper.
One Topic 15.
Good. That's ONETOPIC 15, all squished together at checkout. You'll get 15% off your order, and your life will be better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.